Hey everybody, this is Grant. Thank you for joining another episode of Click AI Radio. In this episode, we're going to take a look at how many data scientists does it take to predict your SMB success.
Welcome to Click AI Radio, where you'll learn the secrets to transforming your small to medium business. Grant has been helping businesses transform using technology for over 30 years. Advanced technologies like artificial intelligence have been available only to large companies and advanced technical teams. Grant will discuss how you can use to leverage AI and other technologies to grow your small to medium business. As a gift, Grant is offering his ebook, AI for Sales Growth, at clickairadio.com. Now, here's your host and biz tech geek, Grant Larson.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode. All right, so I've been looking at this problem around how do I help my own SMB to grow, right? What does it take for me to have all of the sufficient technology that I need to compete today? We've heard the adage, of course, hey, you know what, if you're not participating in AI, you're going to get left behind, right? That there's a lot of large organizations that are, of course, pursuing this. And we'll talk about that here for a moment. What I've found is that most AI platforms today, they really require a deep technical bench, right? And a lot of that gets outside of the reach of the small to medium business, right? So one of the things that led me into this world was to say, how could I help and find a way to close that gap for the small to medium business? What does that look like? The drive for business insights leveraging AI through simple platforms is growing at a cumulative annual growth rate, CAGR, of 47% from now up through 2030. Thus saith some of the researchers out there. All right, so the need for this and the desire and the appetite for it is clearly growing. But how can you afford it? What does that look like? So I was looking recently at, this came out in February of 2021. There's this report that was looking at some of the top 10 companies, right, that are hiring data scientists. And these are large companies, right? And what were they paying for them, right? Let's say I had the checkbook out and I want a data science team. What does that look like? Pinterest, at the time anyway, they were paying the most, $212K on average annual salary for one data scientist. Lyft was $154K. Snap was $152K. Man, take a breath, right? Slack, $148K. Uber, $139K. Microsoft, $136K, right? These are average salaries for data scientists. Oracle, $132K. Intel, $123K. And Accenture, $107K. So the average of that, using fancy math, is $144K. All right. How many data scientists does it take? I don't know. How many does it take to screw in a light bulb? Well, let's take a look at this. If you're going to build a data science team, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's about 8 different key roles that are typically done on these teams. Now, a role doesn't always translate into one person. Sometimes it's multiple people. Sometimes one role can go across, a person. Now, let me run this by you here. There's at least four critical needs, right? Let's say as a small to medium business owner, you're going to go build your team. You're going to need someone that's going to take care of analytics, right? And so that's a critical role. So that's a necessary one. That's required. Someone's got to know some coding work. So in languages like R and Python, stay with me. A third area is, of course, all of the data and database work. So, working with SQL and NoSQL, those sorts of things. And then there's all the algorithms in the models, right? This is regression models, right? And dimensionality, and yeah, the list goes on. All right, that's 4 roles right there. So let's just take that. Let's say that, and that those are unique enough that I'm going to argue that you will need one person for each of those roles. And using the average of 144K, we're up to 576 $576,000 a year. That's not even fully loaded. That starts to become a big number. Instantly, it goes outside of the reach of the SMBs. If you really had, and I was looking across some of the large companies doing this, they've typically got around 10, right? And so you're in the 1.5 to 2.5 million range, and that's still not fully loaded, nor does it include all of the technology costs and, et cetera, right? All of the hardware and everything you need for that as well. Is it a surprise? No, it's not a surprise when you say, hey, the big companies, they are really getting an advantage here by using the resources to bring in this talent and then to actually widen the gap between what they can do and what's available to the SMB world. And this really started just sink deep within my soul, right? I was like, wait a minute. Hey, it's the small companies that have brought some of the coolest innovations and great opportunities to the planet. Oh, and I didn't even mention there's another role. It's called the Chief Analytics Officer. Not every company has those, but that's yet one more. And of course, I'm sure you could tell that role is going to be above the 212K range. I didn't even include that in there, right? So let's say that at the very least, as an SMB, if you're really going to do this, if you're going to put together your own data science team, you're at least in the 500K range, somewhere right in there. And that's actually on the low end. It's like, all right, so let's just assume that we did that, all right? For whatever reason, I've got the money in the bank, let's say, we're just pretending. Let's say I'm gonna go do that. How do you integrate this data science team into your company? There are several operating models to do this. There's a decentralized model. That's where you take an analytics group, right, your data science group, and they're focused on a particular function or business unit. And each business unit or each function in the company, they have their own data science teams. Some large companies have that. Here's another operating model. It's more the functional model. It's where you have sort of this key function. There's one analytics group, but they will reach out and provide occasional support to other teams. Then there's the centralized model. And this model is where you have one analytics data science team that spans across the entire corporation. And they, of course, then go and reach into the different analytics projects, which are owned by the different business units and different business functions. It turns out that model, that centralized one, tends to be the one that works best for SMBs, right? Where in reality, it doesn't make sense financially that, of course, you're going to have multiple data science and analytics teams. You'll have one for the entire organization. But, like I said, in the larger companies, they'll certainly fund multiples of these. So for our purposes here, we're going to talk about the centralized model, and there's a flavor of that called the consulting model, which means sometimes that analytics group or that data science team is actually not in the company. It's external, and it's reaching in and providing insight and guidance and predictive work into different parts of the organization. So it's critical to note that when you're doing this kind of approach with the consulting model, that the understanding of the business and the key problems you're trying to solve, that goes back and forth, right, between the analytics group and, of course, then the SMB itself. But what does this really mean for an SMB? One of the most important things that it really means is that in order for you to do AI, it means that you're going to have one of these big teams. And I did not like that conclusion. I was like, hey, this is actually really hurting the SMB teams. So I went hunting for a solution, right? And the solution was, how can we get data science and AI and predictive capabilities into the hands of an SMB, right? How can we do that in a way that it does not require a data science team within your organization? So there's not only this monetary challenge or hurdle to it, which is, okay, at the very least, let's say it's 500K for argument's sake. There's another problem though, and that problem is, how do you declare return on investment, right, of all of that machine learning and data science team investment. And that's, of course, where a lot of business executives still need to be convinced. And, you can't complain them, or can't blame them, right? I mean, you're looking at, at the very low end, 500K, definitely up into the millions of dollars. What is it that's going to turn around a return on the investment that will make that justifiable? And that right there makes it even more challenging for an SMB to say, yeah, I'm gonna jump into this. So as an SMB, one of the things that I found is that you can skip hiring that team. You do not need the team. The platforms, the AI platforms, have matured to enable SMB teams to get the benefits of AI without actually requiring bringing in all of that sort of expertise into your own organization. Now, that's a huge promise, right? That's a huge change. That capability wasn't really even there a few years ago, right? Now, today, what we've found, what we've developed, what we've provided is a way to do that is literally pennies on the dollar. So what I'm offering up to you is to join me Thursday for a web class on how to take advantage of this. 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, this coming Thursday. I'd like to share that with you. I will be talking with you soon. Listen to me on my next episode, and I will start letting you know how to participate in that. Thanks for joining, and until next time, don't go buy a data science team.
Thank you for joining Grant on Click AI Radio. Don't forget to subscribe and leave feedback. And remember to download your free ebook. Visit clickairadio.com now.